afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Joyce and I'm here with another video to inspire you, to encourage you, and to motivate you to live your best life. And today I have an interesting topic which came to me as I was walking the other day in the morning. I was really enjoying my walk, and then I was just reminded of a particular scripture. And it says, I think it's Joshua 1:3. I'm not, don't quote me if I'm wrong, but if you just look at maybe the sentence which starts with, every place your foot shall tread, have I given you as an inheritance. And obviously there's a lot of context around that, right? There's a particular group of people who were foreigners, had been in a foreign land for a very long time. So I think it was something like 400 years, maybe about 7 generations. And they were now being moved into a new space. And their leader had just died. And so there was a lot of trepidation, there's a lot of fear, there was a lot of uncertainty about their future and where they were going. And in fact, most of them were saying that it would have been better that they had stayed where they were, bearing in mind they were enslaved at the time. And so God had to raise this champion who was already an understudy prior to this time to the leadership, the previous leadership, and ask him to step up and step into his role, and that he was going to take them there because they were feeling, as I said earlier, there's a lot of trepidation, there was a lot of fear, there was a lot of I wish we were back there. And actually that just reminded me of something. When you are when you're moving into a new space, whether it's a job, a house, a marriage, out of a marriage, in a relationship, out of a relationship, going to school, out of school, the transitional period is always very, very difficult. And sometimes it almost feels like, I wish I could go back there. I wonder what it would be like if I could go back. And, and that goes back to the idea of set point. Sometimes when we get into a space, it's so comfortable that moving from there is a massive challenge. Everything in your body is just saying no, because you don't know where you're going. You're not sure what you're going to face ahead there. You don't know if you like it. You're not sure if you've got the capacity, both mental and physical and emotional, to cope with it. How are you ever going to manage it? Until you get there, and then you get comfortable, and then, it's time for you to move on, and then you're not sure if you want to move on. You catch the drift. Before you do anything new, it's always going to be a challenge. It's always going to be difficult. It's always going to be very, very mind-blowing, often in a very negative way. You don't know where you're going. You're not sure if you'll like it. You don't know who you're going to find there. You don't know if they'll like you. All of that plays into our psyche, and in terms of whether we feel we can cope with it. To be honest, most of the things that I've attempted, I'd rather not have done them. It always feels weird to start something new. And most of it is enmeshed with the fact that I don't always feel like I have the capacity or the energy or the will or the wisdom to do it. So there's a lot of negative talk. There's a lot of me doubting myself and feeling, well, I wish maybe there's somebody else can do it. Maybe somebody else can step into that role. Why does it have to be me? But I think the secret is that it has to be you, because that desire is there. Now, for a lot of people, they don't necessarily follow their desire. It's almost like you get into a space and you see somebody doing something and you think, oh, I could have done it. I had that vision, but then I let it go because I wasn't sure I could do it. So I'm here to just encourage you and to remind you that anything you have a desire for, it is yours for the taking. Always follow the golden rule, of course, which is do unto others as you would like done unto you, is the basis of everything that I do. And I think we should all be doing. because then it means that we're not treading on people's toes, we're not harming other people, and of course we're creating good vibes and good karma for ourselves. So stepping into something different is always a challenge. It is comfortable to stay where we are. It is familiar. I think that's the thing. It's the bane of my existence. I love familiarity because it means you don't have to, there are no surprises. You know exactly what you're going to do, what you're going to get. Let's take the walk that I took this morning. And when I had this brilliant idea about this video, it's one that I do most mornings. I know exactly how long it's going to take me. I know where I'm going to pass, who I'm most likely to see, although that changes depending on whether I struggle to wake up and therefore start off the journey a lot later. All of that plays into spec. But my message is this: I know exactly what I'm doing. I love the way I feel after doing the walk, so that really inspires me to get going. I know how long it's going to take me, and I know I'm going to love it. Now, if somebody said to me, oh, actually, you're not going to be going for a 45-minute walk, I need you to go for an hour's walk, and we're not going down the road you usually take. We're going to do something different. Now, so much more is going to come into play, isn't it? Because where are we going? How do I know I'll make it back? Who am I going to see? Is it going to be comfortable? Will I see somebody I like? Will I feel embarrassed? Will I make it? Is it a hill climb? Is it, all of those thoughts come into play, because fear is a magnet for familiarity. It's easier for us to stay and maybe have a case for not doing it, but really the basis is fear, as I said in a previous video. And so in order for us to transcend that, in order for us to step into the new land that we're being told is capable, is possible, we have to deal with all of those emotions that come into play on a daily basis. We have to rise up into the challenge, first of all, because it's something that we've never done before. Then we've got to possibly garner the strength of other people. We might need to learn new skills. We might need to be different, in terms of how we think, how we do things, how we dress, because you're stepping into, if you're going into a corporate job versus a previous role where you're working from home and you're in your pajamas and, well, maybe not pajamas, but your comfy clothes from home, and now you have to go into the office. All of that plays into, you have to overthink it, and that means having to be different. And it can be quite exhaustive, but I want you to know that in order for you to do different, in order for you to get to different, you have to be uncomfortable. You have to also remember that it is your right, God-given right, to step into it. Why? Because you have chosen that it is your right. You don't need anybody else's permission to tell you to step up. If they do, great. If they don't, so what? It's not for them to give you permission. And also, it's not also their permission, or your permission rather, to make yourself uncomfortable so that they can be comfortable. Often, people are moving in fear because they themselves are riddled with fear. But you can't buy into that. You cannot let their fear guide you, or their fear be your guiding light. You have to know exactly what you want in life, in this moment, not for the future, not tomorrow, not in a week's time, although it's always good to plan. I personally don't like planning that much ahead because I end up just overwhelming myself and not doing it. But you need to know what you need to be doing at this point, right now, that is for your best interest. And in order to do that, it means sometimes, well, actually most of the time, knowing for sure that this is what you want to do. Now, sometimes you don't always know for sure. It's just a feeling. You think, well, maybe I should be going for that job. But sometimes it's 100% certainty in terms of whether we should be stepping into it or not. And so I always say, follow your gut. What is your gut telling you? Because that's usually a good sign as to where you need to be moving forward for those moments where you're not certain. But often you know exactly what you need to be doing to get the outcome that you want. And backing up just one step before that, you need to know that that belongs to you. before you step into it. Because otherwise you'll be taking something that belongs to somebody else. But I mean, if it is your desire, if you follow the golden rule, if you are in a space where you feel you're ready for it, you already got the skills for it, or maybe polish up to get the skills that you need to step into a role or whatever it might be for you. You just need to know that it is yours, that it belongs to you, and you have a right to take that space as much as anybody else. And that's why this video today has kind of dropped. It's to encourage you and to remind you that wherever your foot shall tread, there is your inheritance. You just have to choose it. Choose wisely, but go for it. Have an amazing day, and I'll catch up with you very soon. God bless.